Hey folks, just a reminder that this podcast is available not just on Spotify, but wherever you get your podcasts, except for Apple Podcasts, but that's coming shortly. It's June 26, 2024, National Chocolate Pudding Day, and this is your weekly news update from The Reporter, Delaware County, New York's leading news source. I'm Andrew Cantor with some of the top stories this week from the pages of The Reporter. This episode is sponsored by Decker Advertising, your one-stop shop for all your business and promotional needs, from logo design and custom clothing to screen printing, lawn signs, banners, decals, car wraps, and much more. Call today for your free estimate. See how Decker Advertising can help you. Their number, 607-746-2178, or you can visit dckr.com. And now the news. There's someone in the Sidney area with a big smile on his or her face. The New York Lottery announced that a Powerball ticket sold at the Sidney Price Chopper won someone a cool $50,000 on June 24th. That was the biggest Powerball prize that day, and in case you're interested, the odds of winning were 1 in 913,000. The unnamed winner will have to drive to Schenectady to claim the prize, so if you see someone leave in a Ford Fiesta and return in a Lexus, you might guess what happened. For selling the ticket, Price Chopper will receive $500, but the better news is that the billions of dollars earned by the New York Lottery goes to pay for public education. In fact, in the last fiscal year, Delaware County school districts received almost $9.5 million just from the lottery. Over at the Colchester Council meeting, they were talking about ATVs and UTVs on state and county roads. It's like this. ATV use is permitted on town-owned roads, but Police Chief Ernie Cawley and a lot of residents are unhappy about those vehicles being driven on State Route 30, which, by the way, is illegal. The driving on it, not the road itself. Anyway, the Colchester Council members said they're going to address the issue, and they might even rescind the law allowing ATV use on town roads if the off-roaders don't stay where they belong. If ATVs weren't enough to get people talking, the other big issue in Colchester was giving pay raises to a couple of town employees. Scott O'Brien and Jennifer Attigliato apparently went above and beyond with the work they did to renovate the Historical Society and the library after a water leak. Some on the council were so impressed, they wanted to give both of them a $5 an hour raise for the work they already did. And it's not like they were making very much. O'Brien was paid $20 an hour, and Attigliato got a whopping $15 an hour. After some spirited debate, the council voted 3-2 to give them a raise for future work, but not for what they already did. To add to the kerfuffle, this raise comes just as Colchester is about to start negotiating with the Teamsters for the pay of highway workers, which Councilmember Julie Markert called opening up a can of worms. A big congratulations to Pastor Ed Lowell of Downsville. He'll be celebrating his 90th birthday this Saturday, June 29th, and everyone's invited to the party. No, really. In the Reporter this week, you can read Pastor Lowell's reflect on his life of service in the military and his community, including his journey from Miami to Downsville and his dedication to his faith and the wisdom he's gathered over the decades. But don't miss the open house celebration this Saturday, June 29th at the Downsville Fire Hall from 1 to 4 p.m. In Delhi, village trustees have banned any new wells from being drilled there. The idea, they say, is to reduce pollutants that they worry will compromise the water supply. Both the village's mayor, Jeff Gearhart, and its water superintendent, Jay Decker, pushed for the ban, pointing out that polluted water would cost a lot to clean. If you're wondering how a well can pollute the water, we asked that very question. The problem isn't the wells, but the fact that the more holes are poked into the aquifer, especially by, say, less professional drillers, the more pollutants can seep in. The village is also considering banning drilling for geothermal wells, which are typically used for heating and cooling. Geothermal installations are complex jobs done by professionals, though, not any chucklehead with a drill and a dowsing rod. And while we're talking about Delhi, the trustees there voted to allow for foreclosures on properties with more than 3 years of unpaid taxes. So if that's you, pay up. In Middletown, they're debating a plan. Actually, it's more of an idea than a plan to do a land swap with New York City to build some more affordable housing in town. The idea being floated is to swap a parcel of land owned by Middletown with a nearby parcel owned by New York City, one that happens to be a good spot to build workforce housing, and the town really needs housing that's affordable for local people like teachers and nurses and service workers. But even though this is only in the let's think about this stage, there's already pushback led by business owner and artist Gary Mead, who's concerned about the environmental impact and traffic issues that might come from building more housing. On the other side of the issue are people who point out that one side of Route 38, where the housing would be built, is zoned for heavy industrial use and already has 2 housing complexes nearby, so adding additional housing really wouldn't change much. There's more to it, including accusations of secret meetings, all for a plan that's not really even in the planning stage yet. Grab your copy of the Reporter to read the details. People in Masonville were complaining that there wasn't much for the kids to do other than, stare at their phones and dig in the dirt. Masonville resident Jen Cutting to the rescue. She went and founded Masonville Connects, a non-profit organization that's adding a bit of spark to the town. It's already organized events like bake sales, wreath making, and a highly attended Christmas brunch with both Santa and the Grinch. The group's latest initiative is called the Blessing Box, a literal box installed outside Butts Concrete on State Route 206, where donors can leave non-perishable food and hygiene products for people in need, and those people can pick up necessities discreetly. Masonville Connects has got more coming up, including an end-of-school-year barbecue, movie nights, and a Halloween trunk or treat, which we were disappointed to learn does not involve elephants. Want to help? Drop them a note at masonvilleconnects@gmail.com or visit the Masonville Connects Facebook page. And now we turn to Looking Back, news from the Reporter 100 years ago this week. Shortly after the arrival of the Walter Main Circus in Sidney Tuesday morning, A.B. Beeston, an employee of the circus, walked into the office of Dr. L.M. Day with a revolver wound in his left arm. Beeston stated that in jumping from a car of the circus train, a revolver he was carrying dropped to the ground and was discharged. Dr. Day removed the bullet and Beeston returned to the train. But before the train left for Cobblestone late that night, the man was found dead in his bunk, and an investigation was started by Captain D.E. Fox of the Sidney Barracks of the State Troopers and acting coroner Dr. Ralph Loomis. All the employees of the circus were closely questioned, and it developed that almost certainly the wound was accidentally inflicted. Bootleg booze, with which Beeston sought to drown his troubles after his injury, is said to have been largely responsible for the man's death. There was no evidence of foul play. Returning to 2024, there's plenty more to read in this week's issue of The Reporter, including why No Mo May caused angst in Delhi, how disadvantaged youth will have employment opportunities in the county, and why you really need to use bug repellent if you walk in the woods. Hint, it starts with T and ends with Ix. And, of course, we continue to celebrate June as Dairy Month, read our feature about Don's Dairy Supply in South Courtright, and the diversified farming of Juliana Holsteins in Sidney. That's just some of what's in this week's issue. To get all the news that matters to you and your Delaware County community, subscribe to The Reporter at the-reporter.net or call 607-464-4009. We'll see you next week.